According to the NHS, 1 in 2 people will be diagnosed with some form of cancer within their lifetime. 1 in 2 people. That's half of this room, half of you watching online. And whilst treatments are steadily getting better, the mortality rate is still far too high. And that's why I've chosen to do my talk today. I hope that if my dream becomes a reality, we can take the next step forward in medical sciences, potentially saving the lives of countless people across the world. Now, this area is of particular interest to me, and I know, as the numbers suggest, it's something that everyone in the world, or everyone in this room as well, can take personally. So welcome to my talk. Now, before I dive into my digital dream, I want to take a moment for you to think about yours. We're going to be thinking quite theoretically today, so I want to make sure all your brains are fired up and warmed up. So take a few moments now and think about your dreams. What is it you dream about? What would you love to see become a reality using technology? Take a few moments now to think. So now that we've got your brains fired up, let's dive into my talk, shall we? So what is my dream? What's my light at the end of the tunnel? My vision for the future? As I said, I want us to take the next step forward in medical sciences, potentially saving the lives of countless people across the world from diseases like cancer due to a lack of knowledge. How often do we hear doctors say, "I'm sorry, there's nothing more we can do for you. The sickness has just spread too far. If only we'd found this sooner." It's common knowledge that the earlier you can diagnose a disease like cancer, the more likely it is to be treated successfully, and the easier that treatment is going to be. The issue is, most people go through their lives without even knowing they have one of these diseases, because they've got no external symptoms. In fact, 45% of people in the UK who are diagnosed with cancers are diagnosed with stages 3 and 4 cancers, which are far harder to treat than the younger infants. So how do I bring this 45% down? This is my dream. I want us to develop a new diagnostic test system to identify these life-threatening diseases early, while they're still treatable. And to examine this a little bit more, we need to look at the 2 key aspects of my dream: biology and the technology. So let's start with the biology, shall we? Now, I know not everyone in the room is going to be a scientist, so I've broken down the science part into 2 key analogies, using 2 different sorts of cars. So here we have an older car, a more classic car, if you will. Now, in an old car, if something goes wrong, and a little wing nut gets a little bit loose, you might not necessarily notice an issue. You could be driving along thinking all is well, but the issue's still there, and it's steadily getting worse under the bonnet. And then you're driving along thinking all is well, and then suddenly the bang, engine cuts out, smoke comes pouring out. And it's going to cost you a lot more time, energy, and money to get it fixed, and if you found the issue right at the start. This is a little bit like our bodies at the moment. At the onset of one of these diseases, you might not notice a difference. You might think all is well. It's only as the disease starts growing and spreading to different parts of the body that you notice. And by that time, all a doctor could be able to say is, "I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do for you." The issue was there right at the start. It was there to be seen. We just weren't looking in the right place for it. So now let's look at a modern car then. Now, in modern cars, they've got sensors all over them, so that if something breaks, you get a notification on your dashboard, and you can go to the garage and get yourself fixed relatively easily. Now, if this is possible with car technology, why can't we use it for health technology instead? I think we can use this for health technology. I think we can do this by analysing our blood chemistry and looking out for things called biomarkers. Now, biomarkers are small biological molecules which are indicative of either a healthy or an unhealthy process within the body. They tell us whether things are going well or not well. These are essentially our body's internal car sensors. They tell us when things are working and when they're not working. So now, if we can develop a way to analyse and detect these biomarkers, we can nip these diseases in the bud before they start spreading, before they become more sinister. So now, these biomarkers are also indicative of what exactly is going wrong. They can tell us your kidneys are struggling, your heart is failing. In fact, we've categorized so many different biomarkers that indicate so many different types of ailments. You've heard me talk a lot about cancer, but we've categorized biomarkers for diabetes, heart failure, even Alzheimer's has got biomarkers for it. So I know what you're thinking. Alec, this sounds great. Why are we using these already? Well, the thing is, we are using them, just not in the way we should be using them. Currently, we use biomarkers as another piece of evidence in a diagnosis. They're a key point of evidence to say that you've got X, a cancer, a tumour, etc. But instead, why don't we flip them on its head and use them as an early warning detection system so that we can pick up the presence of these diseases early while they're still treatable. And for that, we need to look at the technology. So the technology side of my dream is a little bit more tricky, but here's what I proposed. I want us to develop a chip or implant which can continuously monitor our blood chemistry and alert us, send a notification to our phone when something goes wrong at the instant we pick up one of these biomarkers. So that instead of us waiting for a routine blood test or waiting 3 or 4 months to find this, we can detect this instantly. So some of you with diabetes might be familiar with one of these, or if you've got a diabetic friend, you might be familiar with one of these. This is a CGM, continuous glucose monitoring system. And this works in exactly the same way as how I'd like my technology to work. You can see the little implant on this person's arm here. This monitors somebody's blood sugar levels continuously. And so a diabetic can get all the data they need about their blood sugar levels to their phone, and they can react accordingly. They can take some insulin, they can eat some sugar if they need to, some sugar. And so this is exactly how I want my technology to work. And so if proof the technology is there, we just have to adapt it to pick up different sorts of biomarkers. So now that we've proven that, we'll go with proven, and that this technology is there, let's take a look at some of the applications for it, shall we? My short-term dreams and my long-term goals for this technology. One of my first short-term dreams for this is to monitor treatments that are already going ahead. If somebody's already got a cancer, we can say whether the tumour is decreasing or still growing. We can also use this technology in hospitals to know when overnight, when staffing levels are a bit lower, if a patient's condition changes, and a doctor can be notified straight away without having to come back to them 20 minutes, 30 minutes later. And we know these diseases don't just happen straight away, they've got stages to them. They grow. And so even if we monitor our blood chemistry once a month, once every 3 or 4 months, we can still pick up these diseases in their infancy before anything more sinister might happen. So you've heard me talk a lot about diseases and cancers today, but I think we've got other applications of this technology as well, which fit into my long-term goals. So I want us to use this technology to monitor our dehydration levels within the body. It tells us we need to drink more water. It's always healthy, isn't it? I want us to be able to use this technology to pick up foreign substances within the body, within the blood. So picture this, you're at a bar and your drink gets spiked. I want this technology to send you a notification that there's something wrong with your blood. So you can call a taxi, call a friend, and get home safely before anything else might happen. This is all going to be building up to the picture of precision health, which is going to be the future of health technology. A way in which we can build up a whole biological, genetic picture ourselves, so we know which medical procedures will work for us, and we can be treated far more easily in the future. So I'm a realist, and I know there's going to be a lot of things that are going to try and burst my bubble. So I thought it'd be good to cover a few of them today. Number one is the machinery. Now, the machinery that we need for this is, at the moment, big and expensive, but we need it to be small and cheap. So there's a little bit of an impasse there. But as we've seen over the last 3, 4, 5, 6, even decade, The general trend in technology has been to be smaller, cheaper, and faster. And so I don't think this is going to be an issue for too much longer. Number two is the biology. Now, the biology side is a bit similar to the technology process. So we might need to develop some new biological processes to detect these biomarkers. But again, as science is rapidly evolving and growing, this might not be an issue for very much longer again. Thirdly, is the social impact. We've seen over the last year or two the massive uproar, the massive wave of controversy surrounding vaccinations, and people confused about if the technology is being put into their bodies. And I'm expecting there to be a big backlash if we actively say we're putting technology into your bodies. But I would hope that if we can prove this works and it's effective, surely the benefits outweigh the costs. If we can potentially save your life, or even save you from a lot of suffering, why wouldn't you want to do it? Would you want to do it in the crowd if this was a possibility? And finally, it's the ethical conundrum. Now, this is one I don't have an answer for, but the question is, what if we discover something we don't have a cure for? Would you prefer to know when you're young, with your whole life ahead of you, or when you're older, and you've lived most of your life? Now, I don't have an answer for that, as I said, but I hope that if this technology becomes a reality, there might one day be a day where we have a cure for everything, because we can develop so much more knowing these diseases intimately. So now, as I come into land then, I know what you're thinking. This sounds great, Alec, but is it ever going to be more than just a concept? That's our point of dreams, aren't they? To push the boat out, to ask what could be done, rather than what can be done. So now, travel back with me 15 years. The year's 2006, and cash is king. Contactless cards haven't been invented yet. If I was to tell you then, that in 15 years' time, you wouldn't be paying with cash anymore, and be paying with contactless cards every day, you'd probably laugh me out the room. But this is the reality we live in. And so if that crazy idea, that crazy dream, could become a reality, why can't this one? So think back to those dreams you had at the start. How might our society look if those dreams became a reality? Because I know that my dream might sound like science fiction, but with science and technology advancing at a crazy rate, I truly believe this could become our reality in the future. But until we get to that point, we're going to need three things: our blood, sweat, and tears. Thank you very much.